it took away a lot, it took a shortcut to be able to help out. And also knowing what we wanted to accomplish with the women's group when I worked in Whisker helped a great deal too. One of the most important things that we're doing right now is that last summer we had, you need to know what your community wants in terms of care. So we're in the block funding process, and within the block funding process, you need to know those needs. So what we had done is that we have a population of close to 700. So what we did is that we took a health survey. And you think that you know the needs of your people, but once we got the feedback from the people, we were meeting a lot of the needs, but geez, there was some other needs that we really had to look after. So now we're in the process of building another structure, or looking at our structure now to be able to better meet the needs of, based on that health survey. So it's always very, very important to know what the community wants, what is their needs, and build accordingly. So, and we're in a position where our people get services from Quebec and they get services from Ontario. So we have to connect with on the Quebec side and on the Ontario side. And I have to say that in Ontario, take for instance, tomorrow, Timiskaming First Nation is invited to the hospital because they're opening up the palliative care unit. This is our second event that the Timiskaming First Nation is being invited to attend. And that's great. We feel that we are finding belonging to, because no matter what, our people come to Ontario to get services, whether it's a doctor or the hospital or whatever. So we're finally starting to feel part of, and that is a great feeling. And we have a ways to go yet, for sure, but I think we're on the right track. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Carol. So, Laura, the Best Start Network in Sudbury has been working in this kind of collaborative way for more than a decade. Tell us a little bit about the network's journey from collaboratives, from a network to an actual collaborative service delivery model.
Okay, no, I think this is fine, thank you. So our collaborative work in Sudbury with Children's Services has been around the creation of what we are calling Best Start Hubs, and what will turn into our child and family centers. We do have a bigger population in Sudbury, and so we have a Best Start network that has become our planning network for Sudbury families, and it's about integrating services for children. We have a system of hubs that includes 14 locations, and they are all located in schools. When we were first mandated to create the network and begin the integration of children's services, we built on existing partnerships that already existed in our community. And I think that that was really set a good, solid foundation for us. We also really, especially early on in our existence, we took every opportunity that we could to recognize very small successes. And I think that this really helped to build strong partnerships. We also were mandated to work together, and we had some very key people that really directed us to have our services in schools. So some things were really not, it didn't feel like there was a lot of choice. It felt somewhat like an arranged marriage of sorts. And to Looking back, that was a little bit of an advantage because we were forced into working together, co-locating, and really started to build those relationships. And years later, when, or any time that there was a rough patch, when maybe we didn't have the same ideas of how that partnership should move forward, we were already invested and we were already living together. So I think that this was really very much to our advantage. I think our journey, though, was very defined by an evolution of those partnerships and of those relationships, and how they changed over time, and how the more invested we became, the more capable we were to have difficult conversations and put all of our troubles on the table. We did meet regularly. Sometimes there was more partners there than others, so we really evolved over the years. The other big evolution was really around our vision. So at the very beginning, we had a shared vision that was mandated for us. And as time went on, there was more and more real buy-in for that vision. But over time, everything does evolve. So our vision now is quite different than it was 10 years ago. Our language is a little bit different. Our ministry is a little bit, well, is a different ministry. So there were, it always felt like we were always changing and always doing things different. But I do think in the long run, this was really an advantage as well, because it really helped us to stay flexible, to challenge the status quo, to do all of the things that we talked about this morning around change and around building partnerships and collaborating together. I think that one of our other things that really defined our journey was that we had dedicated staff that really pushed those partnerships forward, that would follow up on challenging conversations, that would insist that people met again, that moderated, that coached people through difficult times, that tried to engage new partners. So I think, Brent, when you're talking about having a person dedicated to those partnerships, that will really propel you forward. If it's anything like our experience, it was really good. And I think that staff, that was like that dedicated staff person, was able to really focus from and help the group focus from that vision to reality. So to really make it about services for children and families, and how do we make this more meaningful for children and families.
Great, thanks. So I was going to ask my next question about challenges and barriers, but after the talk this morning, I'm going to skip over to the next question, which was about successes. Because one of the things that we really do want to do is hear about those successful stories, which we've already done a little bit. So I'm wondering if you can share with us, and anyone who wants to answer the question can, what are some of the things that worked really well for you when you established your community hub, or when you were establishing those collaborative working relationships? What is maybe one or two of the things that worked really well for you? Sure.
So our biggest success is actually, the biggest was finding a like-minded developer. We found a group that came in, made us a ton of promises that we, assumed because they're a builder that they would not follow up on. But they've hit every benchmark, and they've made our lives so easy that we very rarely go check up on them. We check up on them once a month or once every couple of weeks. It's quite amazing. You need to find the right partners, the right people to work with you, because that's the key. Because if you find someone that's going to make your life hard, or actually call you in all the time for every little decision that has to be made, then you're not going to get your work done outside of what the hub's going to be. The other thing is all of our partnerships. We've had amazing partnerships. We've met with anyone that wanted to talk to us, and we will have a ton of things for our tenants. Our other groups are great, but we really focus on our tenants, and which made our partners, the commercial partners, actually better, because they've now met together, they met with other people that they wouldn't normally talk to, and everyone's going to bring in clients for each of those services for each other. So that, you know, they're kind of take care of themselves. But our clients will have volunteer opportunities, transit opportunities, because the Friendship Center does offer transit to doctor's appointments and things like that, if you remember. It's synergy that came that we didn't expect. We worked with community living a bit, but now they're reaching out and offering cooking classes for people and opportunities to grow their own food that we wouldn't have had before. We have clubs that want to come in and do sporting events. We've actually heard from people that want to do events like this in our gym, possibly partnering with the Friendship Center to provide, you know, all the other things that go along with it. So it's made a big difference. Talk to people. You may think that they're in their silo, but they're probably sitting over there wondering how they can get a hold of you. Just reach out, offer that coffee. The coffee is the easiest way to do it, we found. You go to Starbucks and have a coffee and just talk for 20 minutes, which usually turns into an hour, hour and a half. But you solve all kinds of problems, and you create more things for your hub and for your community at large.
I think it's on already.
Hello? One of the successes that we're starting to feel and getting very excited about is our Brighter Futures. We are extending construction of our health center, and we are building part of the health center will be Brighter Futures part to it. Apparently, we're going to be the first in Canada to have Brighter Futures under the same roof as our health center. And there we'll have kind of like its own hub from 0 to 6, where it'll not only be programs and services for children, but it'll also be for parents as well. It'll be the medical side of things, immunizations, prenatal care. So all of our programs from 0 to 6 will be stationed in that one place. So that's going to be, we're very excited about, and we'll give further updates as we go on.
I think the success that we've had so far, even though it's very labor intensive at this point, because it would be nice to have a large consultative group to be able to make decisions, but in the absence of that, I've used the database that I have to identify people that I feel are at risk, and which is, I don't want to say that's a misuse of my time, but it's something that could be better handled by a group of people rather than just myself. But I've been able to intervene and get some at-risk youth the services that they need. So that to me is a success. It's proof of the concept that it does work, but it can be far more successful with a group effort.
I think our success, very briefly, to say what it would be around building those relationships, building trust, communication, and dedicated time to intentionally build those partnerships.
Yeah, great, thanks. So now it's your turn to ask some questions, and we're a little microphonally challenged today that we don't have a cordless mic to go out into the audience, but if you have a question for one or all of our panelists, just speak loudly, and then I'll also reiterate the question into the mic. So we've already got someone who's dying to ask a question.
Well, actually, what I want to do is I want to encourage finishing the group that he's working with, because it's an enormous success. So do you want to talk about the builder, and then I have a second?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to talk about the builder that they're working with.
Yeah, so our developer is actually CGV Developments out of Cochrane. They're wonderful. again, it helps us, as it would help anyone here, that they're a northern-based business, because they're not just in it for the dollar. They want to be involved in projects that make a difference, and they stick to their word. They work amazingly hard. They have pull that you wouldn't believe. We got sod delivered in December. We, as a nonprofit, could not get sod delivered to our nonprofit all summer long. We tried, we called, we drove down to pick some up in our work truck. And then here they are, they had sod, a swale they made, and there's sod. December, it was December 3rd, I think. It blew our minds. They got Union Gas to come in December, mid-December. When we were running gas into some of our homes, we had to call in June for October, and they might get to us then. They're amazing. You can't beat they understand us. When you have someone that understands you, it's not, no offense from Toronto, that just, they want to help. And yeah, we couldn't have done any better than having them there. And our supervisor's amazing, the on-site supervisor. He gives us time whenever we want it. He answers any questions, and he keeps everyone in line. It's amazing to see everyone work. Local contractors probably would not have done the same thing that CGV did for us.
And here's the second part of that. We work with quite a few people, especially local, health systems at the table, and here the partners working together. I think one of the things that people struggle with is the referral process. Everybody has sort of a different intake process and a different referral process and a different process to follow up to find out what those numbers look like, we're being successful in getting into programs. So can you speak to that as far as how you manage your referrals in spaces where you have multiple entities? Is that a smooth process of it at all?
So I'll just recap that question. So Samantha was saying a lot of local partners are finding that the difficulty is in making referrals and then following up to see if the community member was able to access those services. So has been in a hub or having that collaborative relationship smoothed out those processes at all? Can anyone speak to that?
With what we found, we don't do a great job with referrals. Not that we don't make referrals to children and families, but we don't follow up and we don't record very well what we're doing. And I think that's because lots of the time we're making referrals very informally and really guiding parents and families to certain services, and then don't go back to the office and write it down, or don't make a note to follow up with that family. It is definitely something that as our services are more and more collaborative and integrated, we want to be able to prove that that's what we're doing, and we want to celebrate that success, but we don't have it well documented at this point.
Yeah, and it's not just you. Does anyone else have anything to add to that point? Okay, we've got time for a couple more questions. We do recognize we're standing in between you and lunch, but we do have a couple minutes for questions. Yeah, at the back there, or middle, I guess.
I'll use my military voice, so you won't need a microphone. A lot of the agencies that are here, the organizations that are here today, all have funding that comes from a specific ministry, government agency. How have you broken down those silos? Because that funding often comes attached to something very specific. How have you managed to break down those silos to be able to work collaboratively with others?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we often talk about breaking down silos between sectors, but how do we break down those funding silos? What a great question. Yeah.
Actually, we had a really tough time with that, trying to find money to actually make this happen, because the school board didn't work with us as well as they probably could have, and charged us just about market value for the property. So that kind of hurt us a bit. What we lucked out with was, again, CGV. They're actually funding the project. They're holding the mortgage. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be where we are. We might have had to give up on the project.